no, 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 no. No is a complete sentence, y'all. Respect it. I definitely have some feelings and experiences around this that have colored my perspective. So, let's start with what feels like neutral territory, the dictionary. Merriam-Webster's definition of consent is to give assent or approval, compliance with or approval of what is done or proposed by another, agreement as to action or opinion. To dig a bit deeper, let's look at the definition of approve and assent. To approve is to have or express a favorable opinion. Assent is to agree to or approve of something, such as an idea or suggestion, especially after thoughtful consideration. Okay, there's the clerical definition of consent. Dating can feel like a little bit of a minefield at times, especially the older you get. With time, life happens and people have experiences that shape them, like divorces, death, heartache, mistreatment, co-parenting, single parenting, caretaking, changing genders, gender preferences, monogamy, or poly lifestyles. Let me know if I'm forgetting anything. Personally, I enjoy staying open and exploring different states, while operating from my pillar of ethics. I want to be challenged on my beliefs to see if there's another perspective I hadn't yet considered and want to invite into my life. And if not, I will respect my no. I always believe in acting from a place of integrity for yourself and whoever else is involved. Everyone's needs and agreements matter. So let's start there. How do you learn someone's needs? And then potentially form commitments and agreements with them. Put simply, be curious. Ask questions and listen to the responses. It takes time to get to know someone. It cannot be rushed. Part of my process is seeing if someone's actions match their words on repeat. Also, can they take feedback and take accountability? I understand that intentions and how something lands may be different, so I hold space for grace. That's life. We all have our own filters and perspectives of what's true. So I was starting to edit and I realized I forgot to record one of my parts of my scripts. I script things because it helps me organize my thoughts and helps me to stay focused and keep from rambling. So here we go. An area of growth for me is speaking my needs more, which can be difficult in the moment because my processing time isn't always instant. So when someone does something that doesn't feel good to me, will you be receptive to what I have to say, how my body's communicating, and how I'm feeling? Or will you be dismissive and defensive? Can you accept and respect another person's perspective, even if you disagree? If that disagreement hits on a moral pillar of belief, then that's probably a sign of misalignment. And I get it. If you've caught feelings for someone, sticking to your guns can make it very difficult. However, what you want matters. Okay, refocusing back to consent. I think consent is extremely important for any first, especially around physical touch. Picture this. Think of someone you were not romantically attracted to. Could be a family member, authority figure, or someone you just really don't vibe with. Now, picture zones on their body that resonate as inappropriate areas to touch. Now, lay those zones onto someone that you are attracted to and may be exploring things with. Just because you want to touch those areas does not mean you're allowed to until you have received consent. And because they are showing signs that they are into you does not mean you have consent. So what the heck does consent look like? What would an enthusiastically agreed upon first kiss look like? How did you check for their agreement? Personally, I recommend receiving a verbal commitment for any first touches in the zones we previously identified. And allow physical space so someone doesn't feel pressured. Like, don't lean in for a kiss and just take one. Check for consent. You're already in that zone by proximity. As a woman, I do not appreciate being put in the position of having to push someone out of my zones. When someone is put in that position, it's honestly violating. And since I do care about them, it's really hard to exercise my no into a form of rejection. At the same time, safety for me is so important, and I want to be with someone who respects my process and pacing. I think some people view this slower burn as disinterest, when really I'm observing what their level of consistent effort and reciprocity looks like. To push all of this a step even further, let's refer back to the definition of consent. It is approval of whatever is done or proposed by another. To me, this means, what is your intention? And intentions come with a lot of gray area and room for misinterpretation. And I follow my intuition, and I always try to leave room for other perspectives in case I'm reading something wrong. So, what have we learned about consent? It's an agreement that involves a party or parties outside of yourself. You're not the only person who decides what is permissible. To refer back to the definition of assent, which is to agree or approve of something, especially after thoughtful consideration. To me, that thoughtful consideration bit is where time comes into play, and restraint. All right, I'll use some symbolism to illustrate what I mean. Let's say you love apples, and apples get a choice of who gets to eat them. Picture this: a beautifully red, ripe apple dangling on a branch. You can smell and imagine the juicy taste. Keep in mind, this apple is just being an apple. And it took time, nurturing, and a healthy environment for it to become that delectable. If the apple said, "No, don't eat me," could you restrain your primal urges to tear it off the vine and consume it? If you can master your urges, to me, that's the ultimate place of safety, and that is so sexy.